luxury, jumps on a Boeing jet, leaves behind the family, no regrets. He's got a birthday, I'm your old Shanghai. Eyes are on Mrs. Lai, the reason why. While in Brisbane, the tears roll strong. Chinese whispers called him to Hong Kong. Pack up your bags and off you go. Leave behind the begging for the Luxy show. Archie flies where the dragon soared to romance Mrs. Lai until his balls are sore. Archie's chasing dreams in the mystic land. Mrs. Lai brings coffee to his hand. Family's calls echo on the phone. He's miles away, lost, but he's not alone. In old Shenzhen's glow, he likes to stray. With Mrs. Lai, they bonk till the light of day. Pack up your bags and off you go. He's not showing up to New York Watch Show. Archie flies where the dragons soar to romance Mrs. Lai until his balls are sore. So the tears roll down in Brisbane town. Archie's 3-inch dick flops all around. Celebrations in the neon night. Forgetting home, he's chasing new Asian delight. Pack up your bags and off you go. Leave the begging for the beach ball show. Archie flies where the dragons soar to romance Mrs. Lai until his balls are sore. Weeks later, Archie leaves his playground. Comes back home, he's Brisbane bound. Comes up with stories that he's going bust. Has to fool the punters to gain their trust. Pack up your bags and off you go. Leave the begging for the beach ball show. Archie flies where the dragons soar to romance Mrs. Lai until his balls are sore. Archie spent the punter's money, he's in a fix. Spins a story that he can't eat bricks. All the lonely simps believe his scam. Grab all that cash, shove it in his hand. Pack up your bags and off you go. He didn't bother with the New York Watch Show. Archie flies where the dragons soar to romance Mrs. Lai until his balls are sore. Comes on stage, he cries poor again. His mate 10 gives him $5,000, maybe 10. Archie thinks he's a big swing dick, cause the punters fall for his gypsy shtick. Pack up your bags and off you go. Didn't bother with the New York Watch Show. Archie flies where the dragons soar to romance Mrs. Lai until his balls are sore.
All right, guys, welcome to the program. Welcome to the show. This is Archie Luxury Live and the Archie Luxury channel. Thought I'd do a quick Sunday, I don't know, I was bored Sunday afternoon. Thought I'd do some watch talk. Didn't really schedule anything. Just fired it up. So, you know, we're running a bit of a longer intro to let folks come into the show, post it on our community pages. And, yeah, just wanted to kind of go from the conversation yesterday. I don't know if you guys saw the Archie Luxury main show yesterday. I mean, Archie did a bit of a debate on watches, on Patek Philippe and, you know, Patek versus Lange and all this jazz. And, you know, I've been kind of feeling it. I haven't been feeling the watch talk in a while. I've been kind of doing a lot of the drama stuff. So I thought, you know what, maybe I'll do a quick, maybe an hour-long show, do some watch talk. Obviously, talk to people in the chat, talk to the punters, and talk about some watches. So what I have on the screen is a Patek Philippe 6159. This is a retrograde perpetual calendar. Now, Archie had said he had done a watch review about this watch and given advice and whatnot. I haven't actually seen that video and what kind of advice he gave. From my perspective, I think this is a really fantastic taste, a really fantastic take on a contemporary retrograde perpetual calendar from the brand. The previous watch, this one, the 5159, I had a chance to check one out many years ago. We're talking like, it must have been like 7-8 years ago when I walked into an authorized dealer. And I had asked to see a perpetual calendar. Obviously, perpetual calendars, for those that know me, has been, at least a Patek Philippe perpetual calendar has always been my grail watch. And so at the time, I didn't own a perpetual calendar. I owned, it must have been either my Nautilus or Calatrava. I don't really remember what I had at the time. But I was still, you know, even owning, you know, if you think about it, the Nautilus being the, you know, I guess people say kind of the hype watch, the apex predator in the Patek lineup, I guess these days. You know, when I owned it back in the day, it was, you know, it was a great watch. I obviously, you know, it was definitely a grail, you could say. For me, it was my first watch from Patek Philippe. So contrary, you know, everyone knows I'm really into like the dress pieces, the dress complications and whatnot. But when it comes to the brand, I started off in sport watches. I started off with a Nautilus 5711 and blue dial, kind of your classic steel Nautilus. And at the time, again, it was a different time. Watch was still hyped. It was still very difficult to it still was very difficult to get that watch. I remember calling around authorized dealers, um, in Canada, asking, do you guys have a Nautilus? Is it easy to get a 5711, or can I buy one? And even at the time, we're talking like 2015, 2016, it was pretty difficult to get. They were just simply not, they were not readily available. They did not produce a lot of Nautili back then. And, when you really, I guess, even at that time, it was a different time. Like today, when you think of the Aquanaut, nobody ever says, the Aquanaut's the poor man's Nautilus. The Aquanaut's considered a hype watch. It's considered one of the most desirable Patek Philippe's out there. And I guess, like, at the time when I was buying one, I was looking at the forums, kind of like what everybody does, right? We come on YouTube, we go on the forums, we kind of ask questions like, what watch should I buy? Um, and yeah, like it was a different time when they were like, don't get the Aquanaut because it's the poor man's Nautilus. Spend the extra money, get the Nautilus. That's the one you want to get. So, anyways, I bought the Nautilus when I first got into the brand. Went straight for the blue dial. Simple time date watch, and I'm just going on acquired taste. Nice to see him. Um, I started kind of going a little bit deeper into the brand. It was my first foray into Patek Philippe, and as I started watching, I'd already watched a lot of Archie's videos, and as I started kind of diving deep into the brand, I started noticing that the brand really wasn't about sport watches. And even today, I kind of give people the advice that, like, if you want a sports watch, you don't go to Patek Philippe, you don't go to Royal, you don't go to Audemars Piguet for the Royal. Like, you don't go to these brands. Like, the king of sports watches is Rolex. If you want a sports watch, nobody makes a better sports watch than Rolex, in my opinion. Um, if you want, to get into these brands, I would say, especially Patek Philippe. Maybe Audemars Piguet is a bit different. It's a bit of a one-trick pony when it comes to just the Royal Oak, and they've kind of moved away from their, AP used to have a great history of, they're one of the, if you talk about perpetual calendars, Patek Philippe's obviously very well known for it, but AP as well. AP has a long history, with the perpetual calendar, and they made some fantastic perpetual calendars over the years. But really just don't do that anymore. Yeah, do they make a perpetual calendar still? Yeah, of course they do. You see them mostly in the Royal Oaks. But back then, when I was getting into the brand, into Patek Philippe, I kind of went down the rabbit hole of learning a bit more about the brand, and came to realize that the brand was more about complicated dress watches. Archie used to talk a lot about the Calatrava, and I agree with him. The Calatrava was always a it's always going to be like the date just of the brand. It's, if you see the cross that's here on the crown here, as you guys can see on the little video on the screen, that's the Calatrava cross. That is the symbol of the brand. And the Calatrava lineup will always be there, similar to how the date just for Rolex will always be there, because the Calatrava had a pretty monumental part of the history of the brand. When the Stern family bought Patek Philippe in the 30s, they were bidding against Lecoultre or Jaeger. I don't remember if it was Jaeger or Lecoultre, but basically Patek Philippe was, they used to get their movements from Jaeger or Lecoultre. I don't remember which one it was. And they used to get their dials from Stern Frères, which is, was owned by the Stern family. And so the Stern family ends up, winning the bid, buys the brand. And we're talking about a time when it was the Great Depression. These watches, Patek Philippe's it's always been a brand that has been for the wealthy. It's been like that since the beginning. It's still like that today. That never changed. But I think in the 30s, right, when people are, the Great Depression's happening, there's not a lot of money out there. That stock markets crashed, all this jazz, right? Like, they really needed a watch that was going to save the brand. Patek Philippe itself, prior to the Sterns owning them, was definitely in trouble, financial trouble. And so the Stern family buys the brand, and they come out with the reference 96 Calatrava, which is known in the house. Hear Archie say it a lot. A Grand Classique from Patek Philippe, Le Grand Classique, is the name of the Calatrava, the reference 96. That's why it's always going to be there. It has such a, if you think of like the Royal Oak saving AP, the Calatrava actually saved Patek Philippe. It's not the Nautilus that saved Patek Philippe. It was really the Calatrava. So As I said, when I got into the brand, as time moved on, so the Calatrava saves the brand in the 30s. Um, once Philippe Stern takes over, um, and that's the father of Thierry Stern, he really goes down the rabbit hole of complications, and we see complications coming out in more. Patek always kind of did complications. They did them more as one-offs or special requests. Perpetual calendar chronograph. They were special request watches at one point. Then they became serialized in production, and the Philippe Stern era really, I would say, really kicked that into high gear when it came to complicated dress pieces. And that's really where the modern brand of Patek Philippe, the 20th century and into the 21st century, has been the focus of the brand. And so when people talk about sport pieces with this brand, well, they're great. And we have Gary in the chat who's owned, um, he's owned a 5168 Aquanaut in white gold, blue dial, fantastic piece. Bear owns a 5167 stainless steel Aquanaut, like amazing pieces. I don't, no shade against the sports part of the brand, but they're not really what the brand's about. It's similar to Rolex. I mean, Rolex makes some dress watches, right? Whether you call it a date date or a date just a dress watch, but the 1908 definitely is a dress watch. It's not really the core of the brand. The core of the brand is steel sports. It's always been that way, and so yeah, it's kind of like with Patek, it's complicated dress pieces. So when I looked at that, when I went down the rabbit hole of the brand, that's really kind of when I dived into it. So I went from the Nautilus. I bought a couple of Calatravas simply because I did like Calatravas. I had a 5127, which is the modern version of Archie, or the more modern version of Archie's 5107. I ended up getting then a 5035 annual calendar. So that was the first annual calendar ever in production in the world. Patek Philippe basically invented the annual calendar for the wristwatch in 1996, came out with the 5035. And I kind of said this yesterday on the show. I said when we look at Lange, and a lot of times when people compare Lange and Patek, it's really focused on finishing, right? When they say Lange kicks Patek's ass, a lot of the time they're just talking about finishing. And I kind of asked this question yesterday to Archie, and I said, well, what has Lange really done in terms of contributing to inventions in watchmaking? When you look at Patek Philippe, you've got a brand that's invented the perpetual calendar in the wristwatch, the split second chronograph. Really, and again, they didn't invent the world time. Louis Cartier invented the world time mechanism, and obviously kind of went to different brands, and it was in different brands. But Patek Philippe really was, you could say, the first brand out there that really popularized the use of the world time. And if you think the complication world time, you more often than not think of Patek Philippe. You don't think of Lange, for example, when you think of world times. So if we kind of look at the more modern era, right? I mean, Lange came out, they kind of came from the ashes, resurged from the ashes in the 90s. So let's say it's 1990. Patek Philippe comes out in 1996 with the annual calendar, which I say is, and again, this is very controversial. You guys can disagree with me in the chat or wherever, but I feel that the annual calendar is probably in the modern era the most influential modern complication that's been created. It's a complication that Patek Philippe, like I said, came out with in '96, but it's been adopted by practically every brand, including Lange. They have an annual calendar. Rolex, Sky Dweller is an annual calendar, right? Like the annual calendar, and it's one of my most favorite complications because I believe it. And the reason why they created this complication, the annual calendar, was you kind of had in the brand, you had basically you'd have a basic, time only watch or a time date watch in Patek Philippe, and then you had the perpetual calendar, right? Big difference. I remember asking Higgins about this because Higgins used to sell Patek Philippe's in the '80s, and he would say, "Look, you've got a price point of, and we're talking U.S. dollars, like maybe $9,000 for a 3919, which is a basic Calatrava, to 45,000 if you're buying the 3940, which is the perpetual counter. There was nothing in between. And the clientele he would say that would buy the perpetual calendar was completely different than the clientele that would buy the basic Calatrava. And look, I think that it still exists today. Like if I was looking at a 5270. I picked up my perpetual calendar from service yesterday at my AD. And they know I'm into dress complications. I'm not going to ask them about a Nautilus or an Aquanaut. It's not really my thing. And the guy said, "Well, look, I have a 5270 platinum green dial. Why don't you check it out?" I kind of was thinking these watches were like in the 150 to 160 range. Like, dude, I look at the fucking prices today. It's like 235,000 US dollars for like a platinum 5270. Like, to be able to drop 200 and two and a quarter, call it hundreds of thousands of dollars, you're probably at a different level of income than if you're dropping 50 on a Calatrava, right? Like you really are. I don't think that's really that different today than it was before. And I mean, Calatrava was probably 150, maybe the 30s. I don't know, but yeah. So the annual calendar was put into place as kind of that middle ground for you to move up in the brand as as seen fit, in terms of you wanted to get into the kind of the core of the brand, the complications. There wasn't really an opportunity at the time, so Patek comes out with this annual calendar. Now I'm going to stop there. I'm going to say hi to a couple folks in the chat, and then I'm going to kind of get back to my my story or my talk or my whatever. We got Mike the Mistake. Nice to see you upvoting for the Patek talk. Appreciate that. Ken and S Macho. I don't speak Spanish, so I'm sorry. Patek Cross or Vacheron Cross. Look, hey, you got the Vacheron, the Maltese Cross, and you got the Calatrava Cross, right? Obviously, deeply rooted in history, whether you call it Christian history, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, these are symbols of the brands, either the Maltese Cross for Vacheron or the Calatrava. Personally, I like the look of the Calatrava Cross. If you ask me, just from an aesthetic perspective, it looks pretty cool. What is this? Is Tan working overtime? Nah, you know what, Gary? I was a little bored. I was feeling a bit of watch talk. I haven't done watch talk in a while. It's been a lot of drama. So I was like, you know what? I'll talk to the crew and see what's going on with a little bit of watch talk. I got Sturdy Danny. Tan, would you ever sell your 5196? It's a good question. I probably would, Danny. I would want to upgrade to the 6196. They only have the platinum version right now. Beautiful watch. I was able to see it at Watches and Wonders when it came out. I actually felt very fortunate to be able to go to Watches and Wonders when they released that piece, because, as I said at the start of the show, it's such a historic watch for the brand. The reference 96 being a really kind of that Royal Oak to AP. The 96 was that for Patek Philippe, saving the brand in the 30s. So yeah, I mean, seeing the 6196 in person was cool. It's in platinum. It's a little too expensive. I'd probably wait for the gold version, and then I'd probably look to upgrade my my 5196 to a 6196. Tan working off frustration from the World Series loss. That was a tough loss, man. It was definitely it was down to the wire. Black Cat 997. I salute people who can get into Patek Philippe. Look, I was at a point in my life, Black Hat, where I'd see these watches and I'd be like, fuck, I'd never be able to afford these, or they just didn't seem like I was a Rolex guy, just like everybody else. Everybody kind of was seeking that first Rolex, and I was no different than you guys, where I didn't show up into watch collecting and go straight for a Nautilus, right? I had many Rolexes. My first Rolex was like a 16030 or something like that. It was a engine turn bezel, simple silver dial Datejust. Love that watch. I'm still a big fan of the Datejust. I think the Datejust, we don't talk about the Datejust enough. I think that watch is very underrated in today's day and age. That watch has got so much history to it, and it's one of the most versatile watches in the world. Sport watch, you can wear it as a sport watch, you can wear it as a dress watch. So yeah, like, I mean, I didn't start that way. And as you kind of get into the hobby and you get into more, and look, everybody's journey is going to be different. I don't believe in levels in collecting. I don't believe that levels exist in collecting, Black Hat. I don't think that, like, you go up from maybe a Seiko to something else. I feel that you go into other pieces. What's going on, 30 Danny?
Yo, Tan, $5,000 cash now for 5196.
Oh, deal, man, deal. Just tell Archie we did a cash deal for 5Gs.
On a serious note, what sort of price are they?
I remember them being like in the high teens, US. So yeah, you're probably looking like high teens, 18, 19 maybe. Again, I haven't really kept up with inflation. Maybe it's gone a little bit over than that, but yeah, look, they're good watches for the price, man. Like, I mean, you can not buy a Pepsi or a Hulk. I mean, they're a little bit more expensive, but maybe a Batgirl and get one of those, right? You get a high horology piece. So Yeah.
What you've got to look at though as well is it's coming in the precious metal as well. So it's not a lot of money for what it is, really, is it?
Not at all, right? Like that's the big thing, right? Is if and I know you like precious metal, and I
Yeah.
think when you're looking at precious metal pieces with a lot of history, yeah, I mean, I think it's great. Manual wine, not everybody loves manual. I like manual wine personally. I don't know, Danny, if you feel differently about manual wine. I like manual wine. Um,
It's all right. I can take or leave it.
yeah, like
If
so I think it bothers some people, Danny, but for me, definitely doesn't bother me at all. I think it's a bit of charm, dude. It's meant to be a vintage watch, right? Or it's a modern version of a vintage watch. One of the most balanced pieces out there, dude. Like it's I don't
Well,
think you can get better. Like if you were to look, if someone asks you what's a basic Calatrava to get that's classic, it's the 96, whether it's six
yeah.
one nine six 5196. If you want that essence of the brand, that's the one to get.
I mean, it don't with it not having a date. It don't really matter, does it? With it being hand wound, because it's not like you're having to unwind it then reset data out. You're just winding it, and I suppose it gives you something to interact with, doesn't it? Like you watch instead of just looking at all the time, you can actually interact with it and
Bro, the way I look at it is
whatever.
most of us have more than 5 watches, right? And at that
Yeah,
point, every fucking watch is a manual wind. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like your
yeah.
watches are fucking manual wind when you have more than 5. We got a super chat here from Dodger, 10 Polish love notes. Thank you so much, Dodger. Great to have 10 talking watches again. We got Toyota Mo again. Toyota Mo, I gave you your wrench back, man. I don't know why they took your wrench, but Toyota Mo's in the chat. We love Toyota Mo.
Yeah, Toyota boy is a candy Toyota toy car, you motherfucker.
Hoff, it's not an unsanctioned broadcast. I just, I didn't schedule anything. Curly's on in about half an hour. I thought I would just warm up the crew. For him, he's going to do some drama, and I just felt like doing some watch talk. Mo's always welcome here. Mo's always been welcome. On the Archie Luxury channel. Like we know Mo, we like Mo, and look, Mo's got. If you think about Mo, right? Mo's got a shit ton of watches, bro. Every one of his watches is a manual wind. Because he's got so many of them, right? Like once you get past like a certain number of watches, Danny, they're all fucking manual wine. So who gives a shit, right? Like,
No, you're right. What you're saying. You know what? Mo's a good bloke. He helped me out with one of them swatches before them moon swatches. He
he's helped so many people with those moon swatches, dude.
but
Like,
proper nice guy. It ended up costing him because he. I said I'm after one, and he says, "Yeah, which one are you wanting?" So I told him. So I says, "How much will I send?" He says, no. Wait till it comes to your house, then send money." So he paid for it out of his own money. Come to my house. I sent him money over, and not with just that. He sent like some cigars and all different ones, about 5 or 6 different ones,
oh yeah, man,
and some other goodies. And I thought I were like really grateful for it.
super generous guy. Like, he got me a San Francisco Giants, a San Francisco 49ers baseball cap. He didn't like me wearing. It's funny, Mo. I was wearing a Dodgers hat, and Mo's like, "The fuck are you wearing a Dodgers hat for?" My brother ended up buying me this like LA hat, right? You see, it's in my avatar here. Where it's LA, it's got upside down and stuff. My brother ended up buying it for me, so I just wore it on one of the streams in perfect dark. Made this little AI photo of the of me and stuff like that. But yeah, Danny, look, like I know you love the 5196. I think the 5196 is just, I'm gonna pull up a 5196 here. I'm gonna pull up the yellow gold because I always felt the yellow gold 5196 is, I mean, one of the most balanced looking watches. It's not for everybody. Not everybody's gonna be into like yellow gold. But for me, I really dig it in yellow gold. It looks nice in rose gold as well. I have it in white gold with the silver dial. But you've got
Yeah.
like, you can't get more classic than this. When it comes to
Nah, yellow does it. It's the yellow that does it for me. And I like the fact if you have it on your wrist, people say, "Oh, what have you got on today?" And I don't. I shrink me. When people say, "Oh, what have you got on your wrist today?" Was that a Rolex? So I shrink me. I cringe. I hate it. When
yeah, like
so
I agree, Danny. I'm a big fan of yellow gold. I really don't understand why yellow gold's not kind of seen its resurgence yet. Like, I'm not a huge fan of rose gold. I've owned rose gold watches, and the problem with rose gold, dude, is like it's so different amongst brands, right? You got Rolex's rose gold is very like coppery.
yeah. Well,
I
I
don't
bought the
think of it,
Daytona,
dude.
the rose gold Daytona, because the reason I bought it, I just thought I want to try something totally different. But I hardly wear it.
It's just too coppery for me, right? When you look at Patek
Yeah.
Philippe's rose gold, it's a bit warmer. It's a bit like yellow gold, and then I do like that. Archie had his 5196 in rose gold, beautiful watch. But I agree with you, man. For me, yellow gold is where it's at. If you're gonna have a gold watch, like a date 8, gold Submariner. For me, it's got to be yellow. I know no shade to like the white gold fans or the platinum fans, but if I'm gonna buy a day date, like personally, I'm gonna get a yellow gold day date. If I'm gonna buy a Submariner in gold, I'm gonna get a yellow gold one. I'm not gonna buy
Yeah.
a white gold.
No, I
It's
get
just
it. I totally get it.
yeah. But yeah, man, like for me, like I was talking Danny about when I went down the rabbit hole of this brand, it was about I wanted to get like I always tell people like buy the essence of the brand, right? If you want a sports watch, buy Rolex. Like you cannot beat Rolex when it comes to sport pieces. Like you really can't. You can seek to, that's what a lot of people do, Danny. When they go to Patek Philippe, they kind of take what they want from Rolex and try to just attribute it to what they want to buy from Patek Philippe. And look, there's nothing wrong with that if you like sports watches, but I think sports watches, and you're seeing a lot of fatigue in kind of watch collecting right now, Danny. A lot of people have kind of got out of it because you can only talk about sport watches for how long, right? You can only
Yeah.
seek sports watches for how long until you really go deeper into the hobby. It's going to become very stale, right?
No, I get that because with a sports watch, it's made basically for sports, so it's limited to certain complications in it. When you get these dress watches, it's got all these. It opens up another thing. It's got more complications on it. I mean, not like Iggy's when he spent all that money and it didn't even have one on it. But
Oh man, poor Higgy. Like he always gets what Danny's referring to for those that don't know is Higgy baby ended up buying a fusee and chain tourbillon, and a tourbillon's not considered a complication at all. So he buys this watch, and I'm like, man, you didn't even get a fucking complication in this watch, and he's like, you're actually right. I do have up on the screen one of my favorite complications. That it's not the most popular. So if we're talking like big collectors, right?
Yeah.
CB, Fella, Higgy, a lot of these guys who buy really, really big timepieces, grand complications and everything else. The perpetual calendar chronograph. So everybody knows I own a perpetual calendar, and I've kind of been floating the idea of moving up to a perpetual calendar chronograph, and all of them say not to do it. None of them are fans of it in that sense. I know CB, I think, has this watch. But I don't think they're huge fans. They all tell me don't do it because, manual wind, perpetual calendar, it's you're gonna constantly have to fucking set it. Whereas if you have an automatic perpetual calendar, throw it on a fucking winder and it's up to date every fucking day, right? Like,
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, this complication is it's funny because I always looked at the perpetual calendars in my grill, and then when you always attain your grail, you're just like, well, what else can I buy? And it's like a fucking it's a never ending story of it, right? But for me, this has always been really a
Well,
high end.
the thing is, Tan, whatever anyone says to you, you're gonna do it eventually anyway, aren't you?
You try, right? Like everybody tries within their means. I mean, these watches, these float into like hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like it gets to a point where it's like, do I really want to nuke my entire collection to get into something like this? And look, I mean, Mo's got a big collection, but it's spread amongst a lot of pieces. Bear's got a big collection spread amongst a lot of pieces. Same with Goldberg. They could buy one of these if they wanted to, but they'd probably have to sacrifice a fuck ton of pieces. And I don't think this watch means enough to them for them to do it, right? I don't think any watch means enough to them potentially to do that, right? And that's the tough part, right?
No, I get that because I were considering chopping a few stuff in to get the Platona, but then I thought, will I even wear it that much? Because I know what I'm like. I'll wear it for about a week and it'll come off and bluesy will go back on. And I think, should I bother?
I think it's the seeking of variety, right? Like everybody talks about the one and done, and I could do the one and done. I definitely could. I could keep the perpetual calendar, and that could be my only watch for sure. And enjoy it, right? Enjoy it when I want to enjoy it. You could basically enjoy this watch as long as you don't swim in it, basically. And I don't swim that often, so it doesn't really matter to me if it happened to be like fucking 200-meter, 300-meter waterproof. It doesn't fucking matter. But I think that like it's the stigma of like losing the variety in everybody's mind that, like you said, you would want to put the bluesy on simply because you may get bored with it. You may want some variety in your life, right? And I think that's what keeps people from the one and done, less so about anything else. Is the variety.
Do you think you could be a one and done, Tan? Because you
Absolutely.
say that,
Absolutely, I could.
you'd sell everything, right? but
Yep.
you'd still have your Seiko, wouldn't you?
Yeah, look, like
And
I
don't
think
start telling me, oh, that don't count, that don't count. It still tells time.
I think I would. I think I would. Yeah, like I mean, do I think I could daily perpetual calendar? I probably could. Would I want to do that? Probably not. Just I mean, it's a special piece to me, and
Yeah.
it's something that I would want to enjoy when I have an opportunity to enjoy it. Um, so yeah, like when you're thinking of one and done, yeah, I would say that it's your one luxury watch that you can have, not necessarily your one functional watch that you have to have,
Right.
right? So yeah, I mean, look, and it's funny because when I wear my Seiko, I wear a vintage Seiko. I wear a Seiko from 1978 that I wear very often, and it's older than I am. And I've got it serviced, and I really enjoy it because it's a vintage watch. It's the first edition of the Turtle. It's the JDM version of the Turtle. Um, and yeah, like it's something that was meant to be worn, and I can wear it almost 50 years down the track. Like, how many things do we own that we're still using 50 fucking years later? Not much, bro. Like, really, not
No,
much. Um,
no, true.
and that goes into the idea of these things are going to outlast you. Everything that's on our wrist right now is going to outlast all of us. And I think that's what's special about watches is it's just something that you can have that's I mean, in life, when it comes to anything anymore, we don't really have anything around that we keep for that long. Our cars are not kept that long. Our electronics are constantly recycled into new stuff. Like it's watches is basically one of the last things we have that you can have for your lifetime, and you can give to your children if you want to, or you could just keep yourself until you die, right? Like, and yeah. But if the question is, I can be a one and done guy, yeah, absolutely. Like, I think if I would be satisfied with just having the perpetual counter, because for me, as I went on my journey, Danny, like it really became what I wanted to get. You guys know I'm a big fan of the brand of Patek Philippe, but also I kind of wanted the quintessential complication that define the brand. And to me, that's the perpetual counter. And it's funny because to Archie, it's the world time, and he's not wrong. You know, when
I
you think
really like the world time. I think any complication, any like variation of the world time, I like them all from Patek Philippe.
I hated them, dude. Like I was always a guy who liked functional complications. Like the complication had to work. And that's why I love the annual calendar because you get basically all the benefits of a perpetual calendar minus having to change, the date once a year, which is the change from February to March. I mean, you've got massive benefit, a massively useful watch that, is completely accurate for most of the time. In a world time, dude, it's inaccurate like 6 months out of the year because of daylight fucking savings. And I always found it was just not the most interesting piece to me. We got Roy joining the panel. What's happening, Roy?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Yeah,
We're just
right.
talking some watches, man. Talking some shit. What's happened to you, Roy?
Yeah, I was listening to you, and you're talking about obviously, the Seiko that you wear most of the time, and the idea of a one and done watch and the perpetual calendar being too special, and that you want the right time frame and occasions to wear it. But wouldn't it be more special if you just had it, and you're in a relatively safe major city, if you could wear it, just wear it all the time? Why not?
Yeah, absolutely could. And if I really wanted to, I absolutely could. I think for me, Roy, it's just more about my journey, right? Like it was how long I've been in collecting and where I've kind of started from to what I was seeking to get to. Like I'm someone who's extremely decisive. I know what I want. I don't let other people influence me. I buy watches that are not hyped because I want something. I bought my perpetual calendar because I wanted a perpetual calendar from Patek Philippe, but B, um, where this watch
Yeah.
comes from, and I'll kind of show you the modern version of my watch because they don't the brand doesn't they don't make mine anymore, but this is the modern version of it. It's the 5320. Where this came from design wise was from a reference 1591, which is actually in the Patek Philippe Museum. And it very, very interesting, Roy. Patek never talks about it being designed after the 1591. They always talk about the case being designed off of the 2405. You see the case as the three-tier lugs. But the actual dial was made after the 1591. It's an almost exact copy of it. And that watch had a bit of a sinister past. The reason why I wanted this one was because of its connection to that watch. That watch was ordered by somebody in India. So obviously you guys know I'm of Indian descent. And it ended up getting into it was owned by like an aristocrat. They call it a Maharaja, but called it an aristocrat at the time. And I don't know if he had murdered somebody or what he did, but he had done something extremely horrible, and his servant, I think, had seen him do it, and he gave the watch to the servant as a bribe, to kind of keep his mouth shut. And it's got this whole sinister story, and I don't know if that's why the brand doesn't talk about it, but they actually own. There's a piece unique. They own that watch. It's in the museum, and for me, it was really that connection to being something that was a piece unique from India. That what made this design was really why I wanted this watch. Um, but yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Roy. Like, it was something I can absolutely wear every day. I just choose not to. But if I really had to go down to it, Roy, it would have been. I think Roy dropped off.
I think
It
Roy's
w-
submarine sunk. It sounded like you were in a submarine when you were talking.
he always does that, but
It must have gone too far down.
yeah, he's back on now. Yeah, for me, it's just it was that case. But yeah, I think I could definitely do this as a one and done. I would not be dissatisfied. I would not have the itch that Danny has of variety, because this is really what I really, really wanted, and I'm extremely happy with it and satisfied. Yeah.
But you know why I question stuff like this? Like, could it be a one and done? Because then you think, well, when I need to get it serviced, what am I going to wear?
Yeah, I mean, I just got it serviced. A lot of people ask me, like, why did you get it serviced? And so my watch was a 2018 model. It was bought new old stock. So it had been sitting for a number of years, kind of just unused. And I wore it since I bought it in 23. I wore it a lot. I put it on the winder. It was constantly on the winder and or being worn. And it was just running a little slow. It wasn't like crazy out of spec, whatever. I was like, you know what? I just want to get it fresh. I've never really owned it since it was like completely fresh. So I thought, send it in, get it just, get it serviced, get it overhauled. Didn't need much repair. They just, the cost was simply the overhaul cost of it. And now I've got the watch with a 2-year warranty, and I can enjoy it, right? I don't have to worry about it not being water resistant, right? Because again, I don't know, right? Like, and if I want to clean the watch, do I really, do I expose it to a damp cloth? I don't know, right? Like, I didn't want to take that risk. So I was like, fuck it. You know what? I'll just get it serviced and at least have some peace of mind, right? That's why I did it. There's nothing wrong with the watch at all.
Tan, I think the real reason you got it serviced is because you were scared of setting date on it, the annual calendar on it. So
that's the funny thing. It's funny because Don Haynes, I was talking to somebody about it this morning. I was talking to Hisham Habib. I don't know if you guys remember him. He used to be on the show. And Don Haynes had told him to stay away from perpetual calendars because they can break. You could break the movement. Honestly, and Hisham owns an annual calendar. I told Hisham, I said, look, setting those two watches is the exact same. The only worry you have of breaking the calendar is when you use the pushers during the danger zone time, which is generally between 9 p.m. and 3 a.m. That's when the date wheels are all in movement. You don't want to, you don't want to fuck with that. But aside from that, yeah, it's the same thing. Like, you're not gonna break the watch, in my opinion. I think most people, if they just know what they're doing, you're not gonna break the watch. But I actually, so funny enough, Danny, I was at the AD yesterday, and the guy hands me my watch from service, and I'm like, he's like, would you like me to set it? I'm like, absolutely, because I'm gonna let you fucking set the watch so that I can just wear it and throw it on the winder, man. I don't have, because I've set this watch maybe like 3 or 4 times since I've owned it. Just because either I had to or I was fucking around with it because I was showing somebody how to do it or something. Like, that's it. Like, I don't need to set it. I set it a couple times and that's it. A guy like Fella doesn't even set his watch. He just fucking, he wears it like whatever. You know what I mean? I want to talk about this one from Danny, from Dodger. He says, well, don't service till it's bust. This is an interesting comment, Dodger, because Thierry Stern's father, Philippe Stern, was famous for wearing the 3940 perpetual calendar as his kind of like, that's the watch he was known for that he wore. And apparently he wore that for like 20 years, never serviced the watch, which is funny because, I mean, he owns the fucking brand, he can service it whenever, and never serviced his watch. So, I mean, these are pretty robust pieces. They're just like Rolexes. You can go fucking decades, in certain cases.
I'm with Dodger on that, Tam. I don't service mine till it's broke. Like, mainly Rolex, because it charges you the same price anyway. So
yeah, look, it's different strokes for different folks, I guess, in that sense. More for me, it's just making sure that the water resistance was there. Because I want to clean the watch, right? I don't want the watch to get all fucking grimy either, right? Like, I want to be able to take a damp cloth to it, clean it. I'm definitely not going to put it under submerge it in water, but I want to make sure I can clean it. And I just want it to work. Very, very quick, very accurate. These are very accurate watches. And just enjoy it the way I wanted to enjoy it, right? It was a personal choice. It was nothing, but like, I agree with you guys. I agree that it's definitely a personal choice and you don't have to service it. What's going on, Rich Mitch? How you doing, man? Oh, Rich Mitch in the chat. Talk some watches today, Rich Mitch.
Well, The thing is about me and Dodger is we aren't scared of setting date on our watch, so we're all right.
Yeah, I mean, you're not gonna really fuck up the date on a date chest, bro. Like, come on, man. You're not gonna fuck up a date on a date chest, but on a perpetual calendar, you absolutely could break it. It's kind of the shitty part about it is that it's got like fucking 6-7 steps to fucking set the watch. You got to do it in sequence. You got to set like the day of the week, and then you got to set the moon phase, and you set the month, and it's a whole sequence so that you have to follow the sequence to do it. I remember this one time I was setting it, Danny, and I had the crown out, and I was like fucking shook. I'm like, oh fuck, like did I do this wrong? And then I realized that the watch doesn't have hacking, right? It doesn't have hacking seconds, so it didn't fucking matter. It's like it didn't stop the balance, so it's like then the watch is still running anyway, so it makes no fucking difference whether the crown is out or in. So
like deactivating a bomb in it. You just don't
literally, dude, I was
thing.
fucking shitting my pants. I was like, fuck, did I break this watch? One thing that's interesting about these watches too is also the weight of them. So when Zoso ended up buying a World Time. He bought the New York edition World Time, and he sent me a message. He said, "Tan, like I don't know if I got like a fake or something like that. It just doesn't feel heavy." And I said, Zoso, you're used to like Rolex, precious metal. Yeah, you wear a precious metal Daytona. Like it's a lot of fucking gold in that, right? Like when you're wearing these, you've got gold on the case and you got gold on the buckle. Like that's basically, and the gold on the buckle just balances the gold on the case so that like when you're wearing your watch a little loose, it doesn't like porpoise. It doesn't kind of get imbalanced on your wrist. It just kind of counterweights it.
Yeah.
So, but mine, interestingly enough, on this watch, the one kind of downside about this watch is the case is actually stamped. To get the way these lugs are, the sharp lines on the lugs. It's kind of, you can only do it in two methods. You can either solder the lugs on, which Patek Philippe just doesn't do, or you can use a stamp case. So it's kind of a stamped piece of like gold, which also adds to the heft of it. This watch is actually, it's got a good amount of heft from the gold, which feels fucking great on the wrist compared to like my World Time. My World Time does not feel as heavy. This one's 11 millimeters thick, so you're getting a lot of gold on this watch. And the cool thing too, Danny, is it's got a display case back, but Patek Philippe also gives you. They don't skimp out on the gold. If you want to have the gold case back, they also give you the full gold case back as well. If you want to put that on, which adds more weight to it. So if you want that weight on the watch, you kind of have your choice with it.
That's decent, isn't it? So giving you a choice.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, on the 5196, you got you don't have a transparent case back. You have a full gold case back. Oh, we got Roy back here. What's going on, Roy? On mute, buddy. I don't know if Roy's going through some tunnels or what's happening. His audio is cutting in and out.
He's reaching towards top in his submariner.
People are asking if Dodger ever felt the need to service it. Yeah, I agree with the guys about like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I follow that principle for pretty much all of my watches, except for in this case when I got this one serviced. But again, it's a special watch to me, right? I want to make sure it's taken care of, and you never really own a Patek Philippe. You merely care for it for the next generation, and that's kind of the way the methodology and the mantra I was going with it. But hey, to each their own. And I agree with Danny and Dodger. Yeah, if it ain't broke, you don't have to fix it. And there's lots of stories of people that have done that, and it's worked out just fine. So,
well, it's like you just said, it's just a personal choice. It's what you want to do. Some people choose to wash the car once a week. Some people choose to wash the car once a month. It's just one of them things, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I had a mainspring break on one of my Panerais. I think it was my Panerai PAM 111. The mainspring broke, and I took it to my watchmaker. And look, what I like about Panerai, I generally buy the ETA PAMs, Danny. Like I buy those ones because my watchmaker's like, dude, like this movement, I apprenticed on this movement. Like I can work on this in my sleep, and the parts are readily available. So when you buy those ETA PAMs or even the ETA Black Bays, they're fucking really great when you go to service them. So it was very quick to get that fixed, and it was back up and running. So
the only problem I don't like about the ETA or the Valkyrie ones is they fucking spin like a car wheel, don't they, when they're on your wrist? It sounds like a washer going.
Yeah. Even on some of the
feel it.
Even on some of the like if you wear a Nautilus, you'll hear the spin of the rotor as well. It's common in the 324 movement. It was funny when I first got my Nautilus. It used to annoy the fuck out of me because I was like, man, this is so fucking loud, and you just get used to it after a while. So Rich Mitch says PAMs are shares. I actually really like Panerais. One thing about watches is we kind of get frustrated when nobody really like recognizes our watches. And with a Panerai, you can spot a Panerai fucking a mile away. You know, those, especially on the Luminar with those, not massive crown guard, dude. Like you can spot those watches a mile away. Some of the most fun watches for me, Danny, because I like to buy, like I said, I buy the Etta Pam. So I'm talking, I've owned the Pam, 000, 005, 112, 111. I've owned all of those watches. I love it because, you know, strap monsters, you can constantly, you know, you can spice it up by putting on a different strap, and they're just a lot of fun. They're very easy.
Well, they encourage that, don't they? They encourage you to change the straps and show you what straps you can get.
Yeah, when you have the...
They also do the magnifier correct. I wish Rolex would learn from that.
Yeah, none of the ones I had had the magnifier on them. They were all like either base PAMs or, you know, just Luminar Marina PAMs. Like they were not, it was not one with a date. For example, it was just simple PAMs. But yeah, they're just super fun watches, easy to change straps on. They've got interesting history. If you like military, you know, military watches, you know, definitely an interesting history with Panerai. But I think a lot of people don't know that if you're talking about military level PAMs or military inspired PAMs, you're really talking about the radiometers. Because if you're talking about like the early, you know, in like World War II era, there was no Luminar at the time. Luminars actually came out in the 50s. It was the radiometers that used Bosch Rolex movements in them, you know, so it's got a bit of cool history. Got a very nice, generous super chat from Toyota Mo, $20. Thanks so much, man. Support good watch stock. Yeah, man, appreciate obviously Danny on the panel, Roy on the panel. Panerai's always been about Bosch though, right? Like they went in-house now, but like they always used to either use Rolex movements, Etta movements, all these other kind of movements, right? They never really did in-house up until recently.
When
in-house is really just an Etta with their decoration versus standard Etta. So I mean, it's not really that much different.
Sorry, Danny, go ahead. You had a question.
A lot of stuff like that, Breitling, and I forgot what I'm going to say now. Oh yeah, that's what I'm going to say. When Panerai were released to the public, because for years you couldn't buy them, could you? They were just like for military and stuff.
I don't know if it was in the 90s and the 80s. You're absolutely right. I think it must have been around that time. It was post Quartz Crisis, I believe, but I could be wrong. We got Vintinier in the chat.
I thought it was mid-90s.
Yeah, probably mid-90s. Yeah. And look, the Panerais were super hyped back then. I mean, it's a time when Panerais were the Rolexes of the day, and yeah, it was very. It's a different. It's wild to think that Panerais were hyped. But look, you got a lot of celebrities that were behind it. Yes, Stallone. You had, you know, Schwarzenegger, I think was into Panerais. So like, it was definitely a big thing. Will there be a new Patek Philippe World Time? Well, they did come out with a new World Time. They came out with the World Time date, the 5330. Not really a fan of it because I always felt the World Times were busy in and of themselves. So adding a date to it made it even worse. And it's just like, why the fuck do you need a date, man? Like you're talking about different time zones. Like, do you not know it's either yesterday or today? Like the fuck, man. But hey, that's neither here nor there.
And I've got a question for you.
Sure.
All these watches that Archie's owned and what he owns, how come he can never turn up on time?
Yeah, well, his shit's probably either running fucking slow or fast because he never services his shit anyways. So his shit's probably like running fucking like 5 minutes slow or something. I don't know, bro. It's funny because I sent Archie a message today. And I sent him, hey, look, there's a 5146 annual. I'm trying to kind of get him back into it because he went down this Breguet path. And look, like, do I like Breguet? Sure. Do I think Breguets are the end all be all? Absolutely not. You know, like they're nice pieces, but they're kind of like secondary pieces. They're not your main, you know, they're not the crown jewel of your collection. They're just kind of side pieces, in my opinion.
No, you see, I'd appreciated Breguet in Archie's collection if he just had one of them. And
yeah, well,
exactly like what Mike the Snake says. Oh, you try to rim it down my throat, fucking never buy a Breguet, man. And it were right what he said. I just wish he didn't go back on what he said and it felt bad, didn't he, when he...
If he just had the tradition or the classique, I would agree with you, man. Like those are and Archie did, you know, for those that remember the Archie 5, it had the Breguet Type 20 in it, right? The Archie 5 was a collection he made that was a non-Rolex collection. It was at a time when Archie was like very like, you know, kind of looking down at Rolex, like being kind of the everyman watch, even though that's not true. And he decided to build a collection that was like non-Rolex that he considered high horology, and that was like the Breguet Type 20, Patek Philippe 5107, Patek 5035 annual calendar, Jaeger LeCoultre Reverso, and I think maybe the Royal Oak. I think the Royal Oak was in it as well. So we got a super chat, Brockcat997, $2. Excellent discussion. Thank you so much. But yeah, Danny, look, I agree with you. I don't really know why he went down that route, and I think he's realized it was a mistake, and I don't know if he's ever going to get back into it. And if he does, it may be a 5196. I don't know, man.
I think he knows he can't sell them, so he's saying, well, I can't get back into it now. I've shot my sending foot. He got a bit. I think he got a bit giddy. Got a bit giddy. He seen it shining because they have them special lights in these watch shops. And he thought, oh yeah, I love that. Oh yeah, I like that. Got caught up in the moment and then realised I didn't really want all these, but I'll pretend I do anyway.
I think if you're building a collection kind of based on ideas in a spreadsheet, like Breguet, as far as their quality and innovation and stuff, ticks a lot of boxes. But like, I don't know, the emotional connection to him and whatnot, maybe not there. Maybe that's how he ended up in that place. Plus, you could get a lot of value for money there.
Like a dog with two dicks.
Dog with two dicks. We got super chat, Frank V. Play this clip, Archie's Peak Fikers 2019 Archie Luxury, aka Paul Pluta promo video Patek Lifestyle. Let's play this clip. It's 8 minutes. I'm gonna try to play it, and then we can see if either we switch over to another stream or see how this goes. All right, so let's play this clip and see what's happening.
Great drop. Hello, Archibald Chesterfield III, AC3, AC3, coming from my palatial suite at the Crown Casino. The Crown Casino. And when one travels to such destinations there, one has to have a certain degree of oomph and pizzazz. And I got to tell you, fuckaroonies, that in my case here, Patek Philippe.
I love that. Patek Philippe. That was always one of my favorite lines I used to say. Patek Philippe.
Can't help himself, can they?
That's correct. Fuckaroonies. Patek Philippe is the brand I like to wear. When I stay at the Crown Casino, I like to wear my Patek Philippe World Time. No girl size Audemars Piguet. No ghastly.
It's funny how he's talking about girl size because it's a 37 millimeter watch.
I was just laughing to myself because of that exact point.
It's a fucking girl size Patek, but all right, let's keep going.
Ghastly Royal Oak quartz. No ghastly squales. Patek Philippe fuckers. That's the brand that your gurus should wear. I'm Archibald Chesterfield III. Tell me what you lousy, sniveling, cheap fucks. Nasty, cheap fuckaroonies. Think of that. Fuckaroonies.
Ton.
Yo.
Who told him it had stubby hands and then he got all upset? I'm trying to remember.
I don't know if it was JJ or whatever. JJ really got in his head when he started fighting with him about like it being a girl size piece. But I don't know about the T, like, because that is the 5110, so it's definitely got the small hands on it. When they're saying in the chat form, it says T-Rex hands for sure. Look, Archie, he doesn't take criticism very well. It's really funny because you can always kind of set him off with that shit. Because you make fun of anything he has, and he gets very, very fucking mad. And
I can trigger him by a click of a finger. I can set him off.
And it's just, yeah, it's just so funny that, like, he thinks his watch is the absolute fucking alpha of them all. And when, like, Zane would come on and say his, like, fucking entry-level Pateks were terrible, like, it was, like, fucking, those were some of the funniest, the funniest times. But yeah, guys, I just wanted to do a quick stream. Curly's on right now, so I'm going to send the viewers over to him. We're going to do some watch talk with Archie tonight in about, well, it is Sunday, so Archie will be on. We're going to be on in about 3.5 hours, guys. So I'll see you guys next time. Appreciate Danny joining me here. Appreciate Roy joining me here, guys.
No problem.
And we'll talk to you guys soon. All right, boys.
I'll see you
Peace
both
out.
later. Bye.
Take care. See ya.